and it also is going to have the kiss. Let me bring in, actually, while we look at these, Ian Lloyd, who's a photographer and also author, who's with me. Well, I mean, are these the images you would have picked? There were lots of images, but in the end, I suppose this is the real crowd pleaser.
It was obviously, yeah, this is a crowd pleaser, and it's obviously the one they were going to pick. The kiss has become something that we expect, although it's only happened twice before. It happened with Charles and Diana and Andrew and Sarah Ferguson.
So they had to up the ante and go for 2 then? We've not seen 2 before.
Well, we haven't done 2, no. And no, I think it's what we expect. I mean, had that not happened, I think it perhaps would have been the Great West Door coming down the nave, you know, with the green trees, perhaps her curtsying to the Queen, and of course a carriage shot where they're looking at the crowd and smiling at each other. The balconies, it's a safe bet.
And winking at her. I mean, there were lots of lovely images today, weren't there?
Great images.
Let's have a look at the Mirror, how they have decided to cover it, and it's the kiss again coming up. Let's give them another kiss. I love you. And actually, yeah, at the bottom I really like on this picture because it's 3-year-old Grace Van Cutsem, the youngest of the bridesmaids, and their little subtitle underneath, "The whole world rejoices." Well, mostly. She obviously was. I mean, it must have been overwhelming for that little 3-year-old up there on the balcony. So much noise.
I think the noise, yes, and the sight of all those people, yes.
And we saw a quick glance there, I think, actually, at the Independent front page. So let's go back to that, because that's an interesting one. I mean, they've gone very arty and haven't opted for any picture at all.
Well, it's their take on it, isn't it? I mean, if anybody's going to do it, it's the Independent, and that's a great take, isn't it? That's
it's a beautiful drawing.
Tracy Emin.
Yeah, Tracy Emin sketch with a very simple front page, just that Tracy Emin picture, the royal wedding, the headline there. Let's have a look at the Times, because I think they've actually gone for royal wedding pictures on the front and back of the paper, but I think we can just see the front here. Oh no, it looks actually that is the wraparound. So they've got the front of the car goes around the back of the paper, I think, is how that will look, and that's them. And that's a very fresh picture, isn't it? It's quite different. It's not a staged one, but it's...
No, it is a fresh picture, and also what this wedding's had is this mixture of fun and the personal side, and sort of at the same time tradition. And the personal there is, of course, it's his dad's favourite car, isn't it, the Aston Martin? And
it was great watching him driving down the Mall, waving as he was going, thinking, well, I hope he keeps his eyes on the road ahead as well. Obviously, they were going fairly slowly. I like the number plate on the back as well.
Just weird, yeah. I mean, that was just a great touch. And it's, I mean, the nice thing is there's so many memories, you know, like I said, the trees in the nave and this, and
those trees go off to Highgrove, which is a nice touch. If anyone's in London over the next week, they can still see them in the Abbey, but after that they'll be moved off to Highgrove.
Yeah, somebody suggested that could be a possible home for them, because if that's where they're having their avenue of trees, you know.
The Telegraph is the next paper we're going to look at. No, we haven't seen The Guardian, have we? We just saw the Times there. That was the wraparound. So let's have a look at The Guardian. And they've gone for a kiss, and the headline, "Sealed with a kiss twice," so another reference to that double kiss, and they've got that great picture again with 3-year-old Grace with her hands over her ears. She's going to love that when she's 21 and that gets pulled out.
The last wedding at the Abbey, you know, was Sarah Ferguson's, and William was there as a 4-year-old page boy, and he was sticking his tongue out and poking the little bridesmaid next to him, and he was that got in all the papers. So that's what 3 or 4 years.
Well, an amazing souvenir for that little girl. And the Telegraph also has the kiss. And no headline there, just a very clean picture covering the whole of the front page. I mean, it says it all, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yeah, because I think the editors quite often have their eye not just on what tomorrow's papers and marking today, but I think on history, and like, you know, in 20 years' time, somebody will look back and say exactly that. Why no headline? And because we've had all the headlines, we don't need them, you know, it says it all, you know.
And the FT, let's see what they've done, whether they've given over the entire front page. Not likely, no, they've still got other stories.
Selling off Sheffield FC, is that right?
Yes, Sheffield FC to sell its archive,
right,
including a handwritten 1858 set of football rules.
Right.
So if you're not interested in the wedding, there is a bit of choice there for you on the FT. But the main headline there, "Royal Theatre captivates the world."
And it's great, all those images. There's no other member of the royal family. I thought they would be. It's really just them, isn't it?
Just focused tightly in on them. Yes, and I wonder how paper sales will be tomorrow, because no doubt people will be rushing out to get the papers tomorrow. There's not going to be, I suppose people will stick with the paper that they would normally go with, because it's not like there's a huge range on the front page to give you a different version, particularly pictorially. But in terms of a souvenir to keep, I wonder whether the paper sales will be boosted tomorrow.
Probably, and also Sunday, because on Sunday what you get is a few stories. Perhaps people who've been at the party behind us will sort of, reveal one or two things. The dress designer might reveal, a few things. So it'll have a knock-on effect, and the same next week. I think it's not just one day; it's several days. I think,
and the papers are going to want to milk this, aren't they? As indeed all the media are.
Definitely.
And just talking again about the sorts of images. I mean, there was formal photography going on inside the palace. What happens with all of that? Is that's purely for personal consumption, is it, or would it be for archive purposes?
They should release it.
Be released.
I know that they. The last one I remember was Andrew and Sarah Ferguson, and I know they took a while to pick theirs, sort of thing. But I think it would. I'm sure it would be released, because obviously it's not just our royal family. You've got the crown heads like the Queen of Denmark's there, and the Crown Princess of Spain, and people would want that group shot. I'm sure it'll be released. They always are. Because you remember that time with Edward and Sophie's when they digitally changed Prince William's face because he wasn't smiling, and they stuck on another face.
Yeah, well, I thought actually initially when we looked at the one with little Grace on the front page that was mocked up, because it's sort of such a perfect combination, the picture of them kissing and her with her hands over his. But that is real. That is real, because a few of the papers have gone with that image. All right, well, thank you very much for talking us through the front pages. I think we can guarantee there'll be acres more coverage inside, and I know that in the studio they'll be looking at that in just a moment.